Okay guys, this is Matt again. This is gonna be my second video of the day. I just finished my Small Faces / Humble Pie video. We're now gonna move on to a quintessential punk rock band, the Sex Pistols. Now I'm gonna do the Sex Pistols and their offshoots for roughly the first 10 years, 76 to 86, finishing with the Public Image Limited album called Album. I got everything. I couldn't find the Rich Kids CD, so I'll have to just tell you about that, all right? So, okay, so the Sex Pistols, all right? The most influential, important UK punk band ever. Notice I didn't say best. That's a subjective opinion. Clearly, I did my Clash video first. But the Sex Pistols are the band who can be said to be, to have begat so many UK punk bands, including the Clash. So let's do that. Let's start with here. Never mind the bollocks. This is the 21st anniversary edition. This is a classic album. Came out in '77. What can I say about it? It's mostly comprised of, singles that they had released and then new material that they, did expressly for the album. It's Sid Vicious is barely even on it. Maybe he's on one track. I don't know. It's almost all Glenn Matlock. It's a 5-star classic punk album. I mean, if you don't own that, well, you're probably not even watching this video then. There's a couple of ways to get the Johnny Rotten era Pistols. I'm going to show you two ways. Here's a box set. Oops. Now look at that. That just shows you how poorly these things are constructed, where the CDs just fall out. It's just called the Sex Pistols. It's a nice box though. It gives you damn near everything that the band recorded. So disc 1 is studio tracks and early demos. Disc 2, demos and rarities. Disc 3, live at Screen on the Green in '76, plus live rarities. It sounds good. It's remastered. It's not that expensive. I mean, the last time I looked, I don't know. Also, probably of equal value, is just the Never Mind the Bollocks, another box set. But this is specifically, actually, it's not just specifically for this album. It's also got damn near everything you need. The first album is just says remastered from the original tapes. Disc 2, there's some B-sides, No Feeling, the Stooges number. Did You Know Wrong is a good one. No Feeling. I said that was the Stooges. No Fun is the Stooges number, not No Feeling. Satellite, which was the B. Oh, they even tell you here. That's the B-side of Holidays in the Sun. No Fun is the B-side of Pretty Vacant. Did You Know Wrong is the B-side of God Save the Queen. And No Feelings is the B-side of The Withdrawn, God Save the Queen, on A&M Records 45. Then you get more demos on disc 2. You get live stuff on disc 3, and disc 4 is a DVD of also live stuff. So this might be the better way to go than this, but they're both acceptable, They'll both give you most of what you need anyway. Okay, so John leaves. The band kind of carry on, Hold on, do I not have my Great Rock and Roll Swindle? Oh, here it is. Okay, this is an interesting little project. It's an album. It's a movie. This needs a box set, because the movie. Well, here's the DVD. I don't even have. If it's on Blu-ray, I don't have it. Apparently, there was a lot more shot footage for this film than what's actually on the released version. In terms of the album, it's a total mixed bag. Who Killed Bambi? You got Sid singing My Way, the Sinatra number. You got some Rotten is on some of these tracks, but not like they try to. It's just like rehearsals. They blunder their way through the Modern Lovers, Road Runner, and I can't remember what else he does. You have that great train robber guy on some tracks, whatever, and mostly it's just a bunch of filler. I'm more interested actually in the film. If you watch this and you hear, you get like Malcolm McLaren's version of the band's history of their story, and he'll tell you that he put them together, in the same way that like the Monkees were put together here in LA, which I get why he says that. It's probably true. If you look at Filth and the Fury movie, though, the Julian Temple film, this came out way later. You get Rotten's version of the story, the same story, and Johnny will tell you, he may have introduced us all, but he did. After that, the influence stops. I mean, the music is entirely from the Pistols, What the truth is probably somewhere in the middle, because the Pistols also wore clothes from McLaren's sex shop, which was a clothing store. So yeah, Malcolm McLaren had a lot to do with the early Pistols formation and what they looked like, but not what they sounded like. It's also important to note that McLaren was the manager, was it, for the New York Dolls before that. So he clearly had an idea of what kind of punk, if that was even a word at the time, type of rock and roll band he wanted to see exist. How much influence he had on their sound, though, you talk to they're all alive, right? Talk to Johnny, talk to Steve, about that kind of stuff. But anyways, what I would love to have, and of course it'll never happen, is these two films in one package on Blu-ray, with lots of critical commentary and maybe a commentary from the remaining Pistols. Anyways, so that takes care of the Pistols in the 70s. Oh, I didn't bring out my 1 second. Okay, this is my Criterion Blu-ray of the Sid and Nancy movie that Gary Oldman portrays Sid in. John doesn't like it, but because it does present a lot of the more salacious aspects of Sid's personality in much the same way that Oliver Stone's Doors movie presents some of the worst aspects of Jim Morrison. But it's an Alex Cox film. I've always liked it. I recommend it. Acting is great. Did he kill Nancy Spungen? Maybe. I don't know. It's one of those things where you'll never know, so I'm not going to waste my time speculating. Okay, this will be the time to bring up the Rich Kids Glenn Matlock album. It's pretty good. It's pop punk. Ghosts of Princess and Towers is a brilliant 45. The Rich Kids 45 is good. The rest of the album is just, it's not bad. That was released first, I think, before any other Sex Pistols offshoot LP came out. Also in 78, that's the Rich Kids album's year, is getting into Public Image now. What do we call this? First issue? Yeah. This is a pretty good album. It's punk in the sense it doesn't have, it doesn't have Steve Jones's propulsive guitar, but it's progressive. It's it's post-punk is what we used to call it at the time. Not so much new wave, but it's abrasive as Johnny Rotten is, John Lydon. It has the, Public Image song, which was a hit, and that's what you used to hear on the radio. what was it, Annalisa? I don't see the songs, so I'm just having to go by memory. That's a good song. The first song is really wild. Anyways, it's a bit difficult to listen to, but it probably is one of their stronger efforts. All right? More so, though, you know, in terms of being a classic album, is Metal Box. Now, I've had this in various formats in my life. I've got the second edition CD somewhere, but this is the box set. This is going to give you everything that you need if you're interested in these sessions. The album was originally released as a bunch of what were they, man? 45s in a tin circular box. It looked like this, but it was circular. Played at 33 1/3. I don't remember now. Such a long time ago. Anyways, this box has the Metal Box album remastered on the first disc. All the B-sides, mixes, and BBC sessions on disc 2. Disc 3 is rare and unreleased mixes, and disc 4 is live in Manchester. It's everything you want, pretty much. This is their best album. I used to play this a lot. It's a weird mixture of dub, heavy bass. This never sounded as good on CD as the vinyl, but it's one of the rare times I'll ever tell you guys that vinyl sounds better than CD. But this does me. I don't even have a turntable anymore. Okay, there's a couple of live albums from the early 80s I don't have. I just have the studio stuff. So this is the Flowers of Romance from 81. This is also pretty good. Again, it's so avant-garde. How would you play this stuff on the radio? The whole thing is good. You've still got, who was that guitar player? Keith Levine, I remember his name. He's not playing the licks that he had done earlier, but he's still on. This is a heavily percussive album. You know, it's lots of drumming. But they were still very progressive. They were this is like the definition of, you know, post-punk. Music was very interesting for me in the early 80s. This is almost all I'd listen to eventually as the 80s went on, is all this stuff coming out of England and the punk bands that were in America. So it's not an album that I pull out a lot. But when I do, I just think it needs a better reputation than it's got. But it's not an easy listen. If you're looking for like radio songs, you're not going to hear them here, you know, or something that could sound good on the radio. Okay, moving along. This is what you want. This is what you get. This is their worst album of the 80s. It's got that 80s production, you know, the echoey drumming, which is apparently on the very first song. It's also got This Is Not a Love Song, which is monotonous, but you used to hear it on the radio. There weren't too many PIL songs you heard on the radio in the 80s, folks. That was one of them. It's not a bad record. You know, Lydon is too intelligent to put out a bad album, at least at this point in his career. But I have definitely played this the least of any record that I'm showing you on this show. Well, have I played it less than The Great Rock and Roll Swindle? That's a question. Anyways, that's it. That's 84. So they didn't do a studio album for a few years. Okay, album came out in 86. This is the big super deluxe edition, much like the Metal Box one. I don't know why Public Image didn't do too many big deluxe, probably because the albums didn't sell that well. I don't mind this album. Critics never seem to like this record. What's on here? Because now I can read them. FFF is good. Rise was the hit. Fishing Around, Bags, Home, Ease. You know, I think Steve Vai is on here. Ginger Baker. It's definitely more commercial sound. I mean, any band who sticks around long enough is going to want to sell records, and they will go more commercial. You know, it's almost a given. That's disc 1. Disc 2 is live, I guess. Disc 3 is mixes, outtakes, and BBC recordings, and disc 4 is just demos. So again, everything you want for this album. I had another Public Image I was going to show you. Remember, I already said a long time ago, guys, I'm not going to spend my time searching for. Well, anyways, it came out in '90 or '91, and it was a it's a compilation, and it's good. That was the first Public Image CD I ever bought. So I don't see it here though, but I got it. Anyways, I recommend that. And for the last thing I'm going to show you is the Professionals. This is the Complete Professionals, 3 discs. All right. You know what? I'm not going to open it up. Didn't even show you what it looks like. Disc 1 is the album. I didn't see it coming. No, that's not what it's called, is it? Oh well, it came out in 1981. The guy's got his face hit. It's the only Professionals album to be released at the time. It's good. It's almost like pop punk. You know, I struggled sometimes to call this music punk rock, but they did it at the time because it was, you know, it's Steve Jones and Paul Cook. Then there's bonus tracks. Disc 2, you get stuff from the Looters, the Sham Pistols, there's John Peel sessions, and then there's Mike Head sessions. The Looters, if you ever saw the movie from '82 with Diane Lane and Laura Dern, was it The Fabulous Stains, I think? It's like a punk rock movie about a female punk band. It's kind of a cute movie. I mean, I think I've only seen it once though, so I barely remember it. Anyways, the Looters, which is just the Professionals with Ray Winstone doing vocals instead of Steve, playing on stage for a bit there and there. Anyways, so they were the Looters just for that movie. And disc 3 is the Professionals LP, which came, okay, they recorded an album in 1980. It wasn't released. Then they re-recorded it in '81 with new songs, some of the same songs, but new versions, which is better. But the '80 LP is still pretty good. It's got some stuff on here like Mod Skins and Punks, which never made it to the real album in '81. And you get a bunch of bonus tracks, you know. So I like the Professionals. You can get everything in this little one-stop purchase, so I recommend it. So yeah, I have everything I wanted to show you except for the Rich Kids disc and the compilation for PIL. So, what to say about the Pistols that I didn't already say in the beginning of the video? You know, it's a great book, and if I would have planned for this, I would have brought it. It's at my school. Is John Savage's England's Dreaming, which is his probably definitive book on UK punk rock. And there's a cool glossary at the end of the book, which he lists every album or single, you know, which he thinks was instrumental in the development and in the early punk scene over there. And it includes lots of American stuff too. So, you know, that's a really good backstory as to how important the Sex Pistols were to the development of punk. And I keep saying UK punk rock, they were a big deal here. Even though they only toured, you know, for that one Southern tour in the late '70s before they broke up in San Francisco. I recall in the '80s when I was in probably my most punk rock phase. Again, in San Diego, I've brought this up to you guys many times. The station down there was 91X. It still is, which would play that kind of music. Although they rarely played a full-on punk song. It was mostly post-punk, new wave. But when they would play, you know, anything from Nevermind the Bollocks, we would go crazy. If we were like at a party and that was on, we would start slam dancing. You know, that was just, and that Anarchy in the UK, that song alone, it came out in '76 in England. That's one of the greatest punk songs ever. You know, Holidays in the Sun is a freaking classic. Any single that the Pistols put out is just beyond legendary. It's perfect. Their singles, I think, were better than the Clash's, but the Clash had way more stuff, you know, and they lasted for years, whereas the Pistols did not. So, yeah, a band I was overdue for in making a video. Can't think of too much else to say right now, so Wilson signing off.